The story of Prophet Lut alayhi salam, part 2. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The angels arrive in Sodom. After meeting with Ibrahim alayhi salam, the three angels then traveled to the town of Lut alayhi salam. They arrived at the outskirts of the town in the form of very handsome young men. The first person who caught sight of them was Lut alayhi salam's daughter. She told them not to enter the town until she returns with her father. Lut alayhi salam quickly ran to meet the strangers. He asked them where they came from and where they were going. They did not answer his questions. Instead, they asked if he could host them. He then told them about his people's nature. He wanted to convince his guests not to spend the night there without offending them. He tried in vain to make them understand the perilous situation. At last, he requested them to wait until the night fell before entering the city so that no one would see them. That night, he brought them to his house secretly. However, his wife went out and told the people that they were handsome young men whose like she had never seen at Lut alayhi salam's house. Lut alayhi salam warned his visitors about his people, but they showed no fear or concern. The angel said to Lut alayhi salam, "But we have come to you with that about which they were disputing, and we have come to you with truth." The mob at Lut alayhi salam's house. Despite the reassurance from the angels, Lut alayhi salam was very worried about the strangers' safety. Although they were under his protection, as they were his guests, he knew that as soon as their presence became known, the men of his town would be at his door. As Lut alayhi salam expected, the news of his incredibly handsome strangers visiting the city brought the townsmen to his house. He warned the people that the men were his guests and asked them not to disgrace him in front of his guests. They ignored him and said, "Indeed, you know what we want." Lut alayhi salam cried in anguish, feeling totally powerless to save the guests to whom he had given the protection of his house. Seeing him in a state of helplessness and grief, the guests said, "Do not be anxious or frightened, Lut, for we are angels and these people will not harm you." On hearing this, the mob was terrified and fled from Lut alayhi salam's house, hurling threats at him as they left. The angels warned Prophet Lut alayhi salam, peace be upon him, to leave his house before sunrise, taking with him all his family except his wife. Lut alayhi salam departed with all his family except his wife. She remained behind and was afflicted by the punishment along with the wrongdoers and wicked townspeople. The punishment. As he had been directed, Lut alayhi salam set out with his family. When they had left the area, Allah Ta'ala gave the command to destroy Lut alayhi salam's people. Jibreel alayhi salam lifted up the 5 sinful towns into the sky together with their inhabitants and turned them over. This is why the 5 towns were referred to in the Quran as Al-Mu'tafikat, which means the overturned cities. Then Allah Ta'ala rained stones upon them. Each stone was inscribed with the name of the person for whom it was intended, and these stones then hit the heads of their human targets, smashing their brains. Thus, the flourishing towns of Sodom and the 4 other towns in the area were obliterated, with all their people as a punishment for their evil sins. The wife of Lut alayhi salam was destroyed with the rest of the community. The punishment that Allah Ta'ala promised and Lut alayhi salam warned about happened, as Allah Ta'ala keeps his promises. He promises severe punishment for the wrongdoers, and paradise is the reward of the righteous. Lut alayhi salam's life after Sodom. Lut alayhi salam and his family traveled towards Ibrahim alayhi salam. When Lut alayhi salam told him the story of his people, he was surprised to learn that Ibrahim alayhi salam already knew what had happened to them. Lut alayhi salam continued to invite people to Allah Ta'ala as did Ibrahim alayhi salam. The end.
Please like and subscribe to our channel.